Why do my boyfriend and I fight all the time? Well, it's not because you disagree about money, although that might be it. It might not be about where to eat or how you eventually want to raise your kids or where are you going on your honeymoon someday. It's because you guys have different personality styles. Personalities, that's it. We'll explain in this video. In this video, we're going to learn about the 4 temperaments or personality styles and how we know that 90% of all conflict comes from the difference between 2 particular styles. Stay tuned. There are 4 temperaments. It comes from a model long ago dating back to Hippocrates in 400 BC, but I'm sure you don't want to go back that far in history. So we'll just give you a quick, nice 10,000 foot view. We've got folks who are outgoing, folks who are reserved, and then folks who are people-oriented and task-oriented. And we break those down into what we call the DISC model of human behavior. Check out the description below if you want to go back and watch the videos on D's, I's, S's, and C's, because that's the methodology we're going to be talking about today. If you don't have that methodology, well, you don't really have much in terms of watching this video. So stop. I'll wait. Okay, you finished? Super. Okay, let's get started. I can divide the world into folks who are outgoing and folks who are reserved. Outgoing people, fast-paced, never met a stranger, always open for business, enthusiastic, optimistic. The world is just their oyster. The glass is always half full. And then I've got those folks who are a little more reserved, meaning that they're a little bit slower paced, slower to get started in a project. They're a little more focused, a little more logical, analytical. They're also going to be more in touch with spreadsheets and making slower decisions after long periods of thought. Oh, sorry, that just makes me sleepy thinking about it. That's not me. Woohoo! So from that perspective, if we're talking about this world of why my boyfriend and I are fighting all the time and just well, it's probably because you've got personality style conflicts or you have other conflicts that make your identity what it is. And what is your identity all about? Well, your identity is about your culture, where you were raised, who raised you, religious beliefs, all those kinds of things. Someone from New York in downtown Bronx is going to be different from someone who was raised in the South versus someone who was raised in Russia or South Africa or Alaska for that matter. So all those things play a part, but we're going to focus today on those 4 personality types. So this outgoing versus reserved model. If you're outgoing, we said you're fast-paced and all that kind of good stuff, you see the world zooming by all the time, and the reserved people are going to be a little bit slower. So how does that manifest itself in terms of conflict or fights? Well, let's say you're on vacation. Let's say you're on a cruise together. Well, if I'm more outgoing, man, I want to be involved in every activity. I want to be doing all of the excursions. I'm doing the Harry Potter trivia contest, which I almost won, by the way. And so we're going to be involved and engaged in the party and the karaoke and the dance night and and the hot tub and all that kind of good stuff. Those reserved people, that's not about them. Because those reserved people are more thinking, I need to be relaxed. I need some quiet time. I need some one-on-one time. Give me my book, give me a hammock, and the adults only section of the ship. You know, all those crazy Yahoo kids aren't running around. We're going to avoid that. Put those to the side. Relaxed. But wait a minute, I want to go do. Well, I want to stay on the ship. I don't need to go to this excursion to Costa del Mar or wherever we're going. I just want to relax. That's how I recharge my batteries. So that can be a source of potential conflict between you and your boyfriend. Now, let's talk about people versus task-oriented. People-oriented folks are in touch with their feelings and emotions and caring and sharing and all those kind of good, really in-depth emotional topics. Task-oriented folks are about getting things done with order, processes and procedures, and things have to make sense. And so, again, let's take this cruise vacation idea. If I'm a people-oriented person, I'm just there having fun. If I'm involved with other people, we're dancing around, having a good time. I'm making memories, taking lots of selfies. It's all about the emotional feeling because I want to go back on that trip years from now and say, oh yeah, I remember that trip we made. That was awesome. We had a great time. Because I won't remember half the things we did, but I'll remember the feelings I had when I was there. But those task-oriented people, man, come to the cruise ship. We're going to be there in the parking lot at 4 o'clock because that ship's pulling out at 7. We got to have our stuff ready. Boom, boom, boom. Passports, itineraries. Let's go. Get to the cabin. Do this. We're going to go eat at this time. And everything's scheduled. Not a lot of room for flexibility, improvisation. Those task-oriented people are really, really focused on getting the maximum out of their trip. After all, they paid thousands of dollars for those cruise tickets. They want to maximize their money for the amount of activity they get doing. So they're focused on doing and doing and doing. So that can create some potential stress in your relationship, yes. If you're a people person and your boyfriend is a outgoing person versus a reserved person, all those differences add up to making what we call the conflict. And so 90% of all the conflict we have comes from this dynamic, this people-oriented versus task-oriented. I want to do things that involve other people and get energy from that. Well, I just want to relax, okay? But I'm doing things over here. Well, I'm all about relaxing by myself over here. When we have that conflict, that's where it manifests itself. And so it's not about you being a girl or boy or any of that kind of stuff. It matters about how you're wired. And if we don't get that down, then we're going to miss the boat and we're really going to struggle and find challenges in our relationship. So how do we discover more about ourselves? Well, it's pretty easy. Look in the description below, you'll see a link to my store, and there you can take a personality assessment. What does that do? Well, that allows me to see what I am. Am I an outgoing person? Am I more reserved? And it really drills down into that information and find out what kind of blend you are, because everyone's a unique blend of all four of these traits. And so you need to know if you're really intensely outgoing or just sort of kind of outgoing. Because some days you might feel more outgoing and some days you might just want to, chill a little bit. And so the more out toward the edge, the more intense you are in those traits, the more likely you're going to experience conflict. Because someone who is really, really high, let's say is a really high I, they're going to struggle in conflict with someone who's a really high C, someone who's all about that task, the fun versus the facts, improvisation versus structure. You can see where I'm going with this. So check out the assessments below in the description. You can also go back and revisit our DIS&C videos, and that will give you a much better picture of who you are and, more importantly, your significant other. See you in the next video.